This is 4 tangles in one that all begin with orbs. So with a pencil, I've divided this piece of paper. I started with a dot in each corner, then I created a border, and then I divided it in half both ways. So it's 4 squares, okay? And then I'm drawing orbs all the way across the top 2 sections, pretty good size orbs. And I'm gonna do that all the way down for the first 2. Now, the bottom right-hand corner, the orbs are gonna be really small. They're almost gonna be like a dot, but the rest of them are gonna be orbs. So I recommend with tangling that you begin with gratitude or appreciation for the paper, the pen, whatever it is that you're grateful for and appreciative for. And take a deep breath in and breathe those things in. And on the exhale, bring your shoulders down away from your ears and let all the junk just go away. And you may need to do this a few times. Make sure the pen is light in your hand and just breathe. Now, throughout tangling, make sure you're checking in with yourself. Are you holding your breath, biting the inside of the cheek, clenching the jaw, any of those things? Now, once we have these orbs drawn, this lower right-hand corner, like I said, you're going to see it's just going to be almost like the tiniest orb of a dot. And so this first upper left-hand corner, we're going to do a tangle called cadent, which is an elongated S shape. Now, I'm going to talk about this more in the video, but it's called take off and land. So you kind of go around each orb to connect it. And this is usually when I re-ink the orbs, if I want to re-ink them or reshape them. But it's just this long S. So breathe, light with the pen, light with the pressure, and I'll see you back. Now, once all of these are done, we're going to turn the paper 90 degrees. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to do this elongated S shape connecting to the orbs, taking off and landing. So you can see I kind of round the orb each time, and then I round it at the end where it's going to connect. And I do this throughout. So just make sure that you're breathing, light with the pen, light with the pressure. Don't judge your work. Enjoy the repetitiveness and the time for your mind to relax. Now, as we complete cadent, we're going to move on to the next tangle, which is W2. Now, the only difference between this and Huggins is that the orbs we're going to turn into squares, and the lines that we're going to draw that connect them aren't going to be curved. They're going to be straight as we can be because we're perfectly imperfect. So I am just creating each of these orbs to be a square, and then we're going to connect them. Now breathe, here we go. So the first thing is we're going to connect these two, and then as we go down that line, we're just going to do opposites. And we can go ahead and do it this way because we have all of these squares lined up. So we know that they're all going to go next to each other. Now here we're going to mirror it, meaning if I folded the paper in between these two, they would fold on top of each other. So they're opposites. And now we're going to mirror the next one, and we just keep going. I have many tutorials about Huggins, which Huggins and W2, like I said, are pretty much the same. Then I'm going to leave this end space the way it is and just have the end of W2 go underneath it. So we're going to turn the paper 90 degrees and we're going to do the same thing. So you don't cross lines with either W2 or Huggins. And in fact, most Zentangle tangles do not cross lines. So if you get confused and you realize that if you go one way, you're going to go over some lines, then that's not the way to go. So you can see here, I'm just alternating and then it's creating each tangle. So breathe, enjoy, have fun. All right, so there's W2. Now we're going to go to Huggins. I'm going to show you a close-up version of take off and land. So here's 4 orbs, and I'm taking off and landing. And that's what I'm talking about. So it's almost like you're rounding the orb, and then you're taking that curved line and rounding the orb again. And then I turn it to go the other way, and I'm doing the same thing. So that's what take off and land is. So now we're going to do what we did with W2, but this is Huggins, and they're going to remain orbs. Now this is the grabby pen set that I love. You'll find a link in the description at this video. We'll talk about that later. So I'm going to the right and then to the left, taking off and landing, and I'm going to do this all the way down. Now these orbs weren't perfectly aligned, but enough that it's going to be just a regular Huggins. So breathe. And so we're just going back and forth until the end. And then the next line that we're going to do will be mirrored. So remember, it's as if I folded the paper between the 2 sets of orbs, and they'll line up on top of each other, okay? And so that's what I'm going to do up here. Now this top one, I'm going to have just go up into Huggins. It just so happens that there's an orb there, but for many of them there won't be an orb. So this one here, see how it's just going to look like it's going underneath. And this is mirroring that other one. Now I like to call these corsets, the ones that go in that are to the left right here. And the one I'm doing right now, I call the muffin top. Now, no judgment with how this is what I call them. This is what they look like to me. The 2 outside ones that you see right now that I just completed look like a muffin top, and the one I'm going to draw right now looks like a corset. And that to me is what makes up a Huggins. And this is how I had a really hard time with this tangle at first, and that's how I looked at it, and then it made sense. But again, you'll never cross lines, so you're just going to go back and forth here. And now I'm going to come out from the cadence and come down. Breathe, enjoy this, have fun, and no expectations, just let the tangle happen. There's no mistakes in the Zentangle method, so just breathe and enjoy. Now we're going to turn the paper 90 degrees again and do the same thing. So over near the cadent here, there's only a couple where I'm really going to be able to see part of the Huggins, so I'm just going to create where I think the actual Huggins would go. And then we're going to go into the next one. So if I go to the right, I'm going to cross lines. So I'm definitely going to be making a corset. You can see one part of the corset's already made, and now the next one will be a muffin top. But it's just going to go down the line. So it's just going to be to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. So breathe. Now the pens I'm using are grabby. I just showed the papers that come with them. They kind of have these little cards that come with them. Under the description, many people ask what pen I'm using. Of this video, I have a link tree, and in the link tree, one of them is grabby, and I also have a code that gives you a discount. So pay attention to that code, and these are the grabby fine liner pens. These are the pens that I use all the time. So now, this last one, I've got little dots, and all I'm doing is connecting the dots, really, with lines in each direction. And we're gonna do a tangle called floors. And all we do is once we do these lines in both directions, and where each line connects, we're going to draw a diamond. And that's it. That's the tangle floors. And so make sure that you're not biting the inside of the cheek, clenching the jaw, holding your breath, light with the pen, light with the pressure, and then we're going to get into some shading. So I'm using a regular pencil and what's called a tortillon, which is blend wrapped paper, and that's what blends it. They're also called a blending stump. And I'm just putting the shading wherever I want, and that's the whole amazing part of the Zentangle method, is there's no light source, so you can shade anywhere you want to. I really recommend you give shading a chance and have an eraser nearby if you don't like something. And that to me is just the best way to see the difference between shading and not shading. Tortillons I have in my kits in my Etsy shop, as well as my Amazon affiliate link. I have a list of tangle supplies I use, and all of those are in my link tree in the description of the video. So if you're interested in any of those, you can check them out. So again, I'm just pretty much putting this shading anywhere. This is a tortillon that needed to be cleaned up, so I used a nail file. But my favorite blending tool is my finger, and usually at the end I'll blend things out even more just using my finger. So here I'm just putting a little in the corner of each cadent. Again, making sure to not hold your breath, enjoy what's happening. And all I'm doing is blending out the pencil that's there where it is. And when you use a tortillon, the minute you go to blend out the pencil, it does move out on its own. So this was just enough where I didn't have to really kind of pull that graphite out even more. Where it was is fine. So I dimmed the lights to see a little bit more. Now look at how cool this is. It just really starts to get this weaved look to it. And then I did a few more shading things where I had 4 of the cadents stick out a little bit, and then I wanted the floors to look lower than the rest. So I did all of this with really heavy shading. So here is Cadent W2 Huggins and Floors. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. And the link in the description has many of the items I use, from paper, pens, tortillon. Grabby are my favorite pens, and there is a link specifically just to Grabby in my link tree. So again, don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos. I have a couple full classes on here that are completely free, and I think they're a couple hours long, and there's usually quite a few tangles in those. So check out that as well, and have an amazing, great day. And don't forget, it's all about the journey to the end of the tangle. The tangle is a bonus at the end.